Anthony, you're awesome. Thank you. You do everything. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
On this warm, beautiful Sunday morning. I did not hear the storm last night. Did anyone else hear the storm?
Yeah.
I was surprised.
You slept through it.
I slept through it. Yeah, it's great. My name is Sue Hooper. I am a practitioner here at CSL Minneapolis, and it's wonderful to see you all today. My voice might go in and out a little. I was at the Earth, Wind & Fire concert last night, singing and dancing all night, so it was very fun, and maybe that's why I didn't hear the storm.
Probably.
So, welcome to all of you here. Welcome to all of you online. It's great to have you all here. I'd like to start with our statement of truth, and that is, there is a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and we can consciously use it. And our mission is to teach, demonstrate, and inspire a positive spiritual approach to living. I like that word, positive. Now's a good time to check your cell phones. I have mine. I'll make sure it's off, though. Yes. All right. So we're going to start with Victoria and Scott with a song. Good morning.
Hey, here's a little God is my source. If you know the words, feel free to join me. We'll be doing God, joy, peace, love. Let me see if I can remember that order, okay? God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Joy, joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. Peace, peace is my source. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything I need. Love, love is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Love gives me everything I need. Love gives me everything I need.
Yes, indeed. So, I think we'll go with our group reading next. All right, let's read this together. I am ready to deepen my conviction in the power and presence for good. I am ready to apply it in my daily life. I am ready to receive God's highest blessings. I am ready to live from a higher level of beingness. I am ready to be a transformative light in the world. And so that group reading brings up something for me, and I know for Reverend Joanne, about what happened yesterday in Pennsylvania. And we wanted to address that. As we know, we are all one. We are all one, even with people that we disagree with their politics, even with people who take out their anger at people who they don't agree with. We are all one. And it, I love this word, behooves us to hold all those people in our prayers and in our hearts. And even though we vehemently disagree with people, no matter what their actions or their philosophies, we are all one. And I was, of course, at the concert last night kind of thinking about this. And when I was able to concentrate on the music, I was so moved by remembering how powerful music is and how it can really change your heart. And so I had all these songs. I was trying to go to sleep, and I had all these songs in my head, and a lot of them were Beatles songs about, love, love, love. Lots of John Lennon songs. And I was going to stand up here and not sing to you. But then I thought, okay, what does our friend Ernest Holmes have to say about peace? And I found A Prayer for World Peace by Ernest Holmes. And so that is what I will end this little piece with. Share this with you guys. I know there is but one mind, which is the mind of God, in which all people live and move and have their being. I know there is a divine pattern for humanity, and within this pattern, there is an infinite harmony and peace, cooperation, unity, and mutual helpfulness. I know that the mind of each person, being one with the mind of God, shall discover the method, the way, and the means best fitted to permit the flow of divine love between individuals and nations. I know there shall be a free interchange of ideas, of cultures, of spiritual concepts, of ethics, of educational systems and scientific discoveries, for all good belongs to all alike. I know that because the divine mind has created us all, we are bound together in one infinite and perfect unity. In bringing about world peace, I know that all people and all nations will remain individual but unified for the common purpose of promoting peace, happiness, harmony, and prosperity. I know that deep within every person, the divine pattern of perfect peace is already implanted. I now declare that in each person and in leaders of thought everywhere, this divine pattern moves into action and form to the end that all nations and all people shall live together in peace, harmony, and prosperity forever. And so it is.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ernest Holmes. All right, let's have Rachel come up. The center is based on the knowledge that there is one great universal presence, and we acknowledge that there are multiple names and paths to this one which unifies us, not divides us. Please join me as we honor the unifying nature of spiritual thought and experiences as we light the flames of faith, acknowledging all people and all faiths with representation of a few of the more traditional paths. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. I now invite you to take a moment and acknowledge the flame within, honoring oneness and mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And so it is. Dee Dee Erickson, would you come up, please?
Marv isn't here. He's usually left.
Oh, yes.
So you guys are going to ground me. This Reverend Joanne chose, it's from a guy named Gary Burnison. He's actually the Chief Executive Officer of Korn Ferry, an organizational consulting firm. Oh, okay. Oops. Oh, whoa. Now I'm gonna. Basketball practice was over. As the other kids waited outside the gym doors for their parents to pick them up, I started walking in the other direction, telling my teammates I had somewhere else to go. The truth is, though, I was always asked my dad to meet me a few blocks away. It was the early 70s, and I didn't want anybody to see me in my dad's car. A 1956 Buick with a rusted bumper that belched blue clouds of exhaust. My dad had gone bankrupt a couple years before, and we had no money. I hated going to the grocery store and always tried to pick out the checkout line with the fewest people so no one would see us using food stamps. The car, though, was just as bad for a teenager trying desperately to fit in and not stand out for the wrong reasons. As I slunk low in the seat of my old Buick, my dad knew what was going on, and I knew that he knew. But we never talked about it. He just let me be. Today, of course, I'd love to have that old Buick to restore. Even more important, I wish I could have one more chance to open that car door and sit up tall and be proud beside my dad. But that was beyond what this 13-year-old could do. I was too embarrassed to know who I truly was. Whenever I tell my story, it always amazes me how people immediately respond with their own stories. It never fails to happen. We all have our own backgrounds and experiences that become our legacy as we carry forth on our journey. The more we open up and share, the more authentic we become, the more relatable we are to others. A great story was told about Winston Churchill when he met with a flight sergeant being honored for bravery during World War II. This sergeant had the courage to climb out under the wing of his bomber plane at 13,000 feet to extinguish a fire on the starboard engine. But when he was meeting Churchill in person, it scared this officer until he was tongue-tied. Churchill noticed and said, "You must feel very humble and awkward in my presence." The flight sergeant agreed. "Then you can imagine," Churchill continued, "how humble and awkward I feel in yours." So sweet. Being authentic is the only way to bridge the barriers: physical distance, emotional separation, social divides, and even those not so intimate Zoom calls. We must show who we truly are, what motivates us, and what we believe about the future. Authenticity means taking a risk to show others our true selves. It's uncomfortable and vulnerable, and always carries with it the very human fear of not fitting in. But the greater risk is being inauthentic. Indeed, if we want to see others, we must first allow them to truly see us. Thank you. I just said I don't have to put that back in.
Oh, here.
Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, Anthony,
I'm not very tough.
Okay, so Scott and I are going to do a little summertime for you guys in keeping with the theme of personal freedom. And there's a song, if you listen to the lyrics of this tune, there's a lot in it around personal freedom and accepting yourself. So just sit back and enjoy it. Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the curtain is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings you're gonna rise up and you'll be singing and you'll spread your wings and you'll reach to the sky. Until that morning comes, there's nothing can harm you with daddy and mommy standing by. summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Your daddy's rich, and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. Summertime, summertime, and the living is easy.
Thank you, Victoria and Scott. I know that you guys make that look easy. And I know it's many, many hours of hard work. I know that. But thank you. Thank you very much. All right, and now we will have our dear Reverend Joanne come up and give us a message for the day.
Thank you. Now, how am I with this thing? Good? Okay. All right. Well, thank you for being here today, you here and you out there. This month, July, we're talking about the different aspects of freedom. And how sometimes when we are aware of this freedom, it can really deepen our relationship with our higher power and just bring us closer to that power within us that can change everything in our lives. Last week, Reverend Debbie talked about being for something versus against something. She said, let's be for goodness, love, and harmony. And today we're talking more, as Dee Dee talked about, authenticity, being willing to be who we are. And so often, I said to Rachel this morning, what's that green up here? She said, well, I had a mask on last night. I'm thinking, okay, there you go. She's wearing a mask. She doesn't want to be who she is. I think it's one of those facial masks that make your face pretty. But sometimes we do that. We wear masks to try to get people not to know who we really are. And we're in Lino Lakes. We're starting to go through the book, The Four Agreements, with our circle there. And one of the things they talk about in the introduction is something called domestication of the human race. And what they're talking about there is how we are taught as kids, and not all the things that we're taught as kids are accurate. They're not always helpful, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. I'm going to tell you a story about a little girl. She went to school, and she liked school, and she liked to do things like draw and all that kind of stuff. She goes to school, and the teacher says, well, today we're going to make a picture. Oh, great, she says, I'm good at making pictures. I can draw all kinds of stuff. I draw horses, and I can draw cars, and I can draw flowers, and I can draw mountains. I'm just really a good picture maker. So she was excited about this. So she goes right up to, they each have their little easel. So she goes up to her easel. The teacher says, wait, I have to tell you what to draw. And the little girl says, okay. So the teacher says, today we're going to draw a flower. The little girl said, oh, great. She loved to draw flowers. She had all these colored crayons and stuff. She loved to draw flowers. So she goes right up there and she starts drawing. The teacher said, wait, I have to show you how to draw a flower. So Sue's been there, I can tell. So the teacher goes up there and she draws this red flower with a green stem. And the little girl looks at that flower and she thinks, my flowers are a lot better than that. But she figures it's the teacher, so she does what she's told to do. Next week, the teacher says, we're going to make something out of clay. Oh, the little girl loved to work with clay. She could make snakes and elephants and mice and all kinds of little things with her clay. She loved to work with clay. So she gets her clay out, she starts rolling it around. The teacher said, "Wait, I have to show you what to make." And the little girl waits, and the teacher says, "Well, I'm going to show you how to make a dish." Oh, the little girl knew how to make dishes. She made fancy dishes and all kinds of different ones. And so she starts forming her dish, and the teacher said, "Wait, I got to show you how to make this dish." So she makes this deep dish, kind of a boring little dish. And the little girl thought, I like my dishes a lot better, but after all, this is the teacher telling her this, so she listens. So a little while later, the family of this little girl moves to a different city. She goes to a different school. She goes into the classroom, and the teacher says, "Today we're going to make a picture." The little girl sits there, and the other kids are starting to draw, and the little girl's just sitting there. And the teacher says, "Well, why aren't you making a picture?" Well, the little girl says, "You got to tell me what to draw." Teacher says, "Well, you get to draw anything you want to draw." Well, okay, the little girl says, "But how am I going to know what colors to use?" Well, the teacher said, "You use whatever colors you want." Oh, okay. So the little girl gets to her easel, and she draws a red flower with a green stem. Kind of a sad story, isn't it? And how many of us have been, I think Sue has, how many of us have been in situations where we were told something. I know so many people. My late husband Gary said when he was a kid, they had choir or chorus or whatever the little kids were singing, and the teacher said, "You just move your lips. You don't have to make any sound come out." And of course, his family could sing, his mom and dad could sing, his sister could sing. I think he could have sung, but he never did, because he was told, "Just move your lips." So I think that many of us suffer from something like that. The other thing some of us have heard over the years is, don't ask so many questions. I mean, we were told that. We weren't to ask questions. We were to just accept this. I'm talking more about church than school. But the minister would say, don't ask these questions. This is the truth. I'm telling you, just swallow it, hook, line, and sinker. So Ernest Holmes says, and that takes our freedom away. When we do that, we're not feeling freedom. We're just doing what somebody else wants us to do. Holmes says, freedom is the birthright of every living soul. Our inherent nature is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom. We do well to listen to this inner voice, for it tells us of the wonderful life in its scope and of a love beyond our fondest dreams, listening to our own inner voice. Christian Larson, another New Thought pioneer, wrote a book called Pathway of Roses, and he wrote, God is absolute freedom, and man is eternally becoming what God is. That's what we're all about, letting God shine through us, as us. So today we're talking about this freedom factor, and the idea that we have the freedom to become uniquely who we are meant to be on this earth plane. So, think about it. Are you drawing the red flower with the green stem, or are you being true to yourself in various ways? So it's my intention this morning to just have a look and see who we uniquely are. I want you to think differently. Maybe allow yourself to think a little differently about yourself. And that leads me to the story about the statue of David. Many of you know this statue of David. You've seen it many times in books. Some of you, I'm sure, have seen it in person. It's in the Basilica di Santa Maria del Fiore in Florence. And in the 1400s, these people there decided they wanted to have 12 of these beautiful statues, replicas of heroes of the Old Testament. And so they had 2 of them made, I think, and then they were trying to get somebody to do David. So they call a guy named N'Agostino Di Duccio, and he was supposed to sculpt David. And he started working on David, and he started working on his feet and his legs, and it wasn't getting very far, so they canned him. They fired him. And then a couple of years later, they hire this guy named Antonio Rossellino. Same thing. This was 1467 now, and he was working on David and didn't get very far. They canned him. So what did they do then? They didn't hire anybody. They let that statue, that slab of marble, sit in the cathedral workshop for 25 years. Just sat there. And then, come to be about 1501, they decided, we got to get going on these statues. So they start interviewing some people. They interviewed Leonardo da Vinci and some other people, trying to figure out the perfect person to carve this picture, this statue of David. And they ended up hiring a 26-year-old Michelangelo. And so he started in 1501, chipping away at this block of marble. And maybe you've heard this before, but it's kind of a beautiful idea. He said, I knew David was in that block, and I just chipped away at anything that wasn't David. Isn't that lovely? He just chipped. He could see him. He could see him. That was the artist in him. And one of the profound messages spiritually of this story is that we all have that beautiful David type thing inside of us. It's the light of God, our very creator within us. And it too can get covered up with all kinds of stuff. Gunk. We talk about this to the prisoners, that, we all have this light in us, and over the years it can kind of get covered up so we don't even see that light anymore. But anything that was put there can be taken away. And so that's kind of what Michelangelo was doing, and that's what we can do as well in our lives. Meister Eckhart, who was a German mystic in the 1200s, he said, the spiritual life is not a process of addition, but rather of subtraction. We have everything we need right here. It's all that other stuff that gets put on top of it that we need to work at getting rid of. I don't know why I think of Leif when I hear this. He talks like this. He says, the unique, wonderful, glorious, creative, gifted, talented, free is inside of you. He can talk all those adjectives real fast. But that's true. That unique, wonderful stuff is within us. And here comes a wonderful, unique person in the door. So we know that that goodness is inside of us, and we just need to chip away at all the stuff that doesn't serve us. Holmes says in his book, this thing called You, if God created you after his own nature, and there is nothing else he could have created you with, then the thing you are after is already here within you. The only thing that stands between you and it are the accumulated thoughts, beliefs, and emotions of the ages. Those ideas that teacher was saying, we don't want to make that drawing, we want to make this drawing. But there is nothing there that has not been put there either by yourself or someone else. And what has been put there can be removed. A Spanish cellist, Pablo Casals, once pointedly inquired how we could see ourselves and our children, and this is what he said. When will we teach our children what they are? We should say to each of them, do you know what you are? You're a marvel. You're unique. In all the world, there's no child exactly like you. Think about your body. It's a wonder. Your legs, your arms, your cunning fingers, the way you move. You may become a Shakespeare, a Michelangelo, a Beethoven. You have the capacity for anything. Yes, you are a marvel. I didn't hear that when I was a kid. I don't know why. I didn't hear that. I think many of us didn't hear that kind of positive reinforcement of who we are. So I want to tell you that today. I'm telling. Do you know who you are? Do you know what you are? You're a marvel. You're unique. In all the world, there's no one exactly like you. In the millions of years that have passed, there's never been anybody like you. Look at your body. What a wonder it is. Your arms, your legs, your cunning fingers, the way you move. You have the capacity for anything. Yes, you are a marvel. So let's hear that. So that's one point I wanted to make, this idea that David thing is in all of us, and it's that very higher power that created everything and everyone. The second thing is that it took Michelangelo to see David within that stone. You know, the other artists didn't seem to see that. They were having trouble finding that David in there. But Michelangelo said, no, I see David in there. I'm just gonna free him from all the stuff that's around him. And there are many people in our lives that didn't see the David within us, the good within us, that light within us. Many of us went through life with parents or teachers or ministers just, looking at us as poor, miserable sinners, or maybe a burden on them, whatever, I don't know. But many of us did not get the message that I just gave to you. So this is the time for you to be aware of a Michelangelo in your life that might be trying to lift you up, or better yet, being our own Michelangelo. See, knowing that we can look and see the good within ourselves, to find that light within us. And until we see what we are, we cannot take the steps to become what we're meant to be. Till we see that light in us, we can't do that. When I was in high school, I had no intention of going to college. I didn't think my folks could afford it, and I didn't understand about how it could work. I didn't know how I could make that work. Just didn't get it. But I had a business teacher, and she taught things like typing and bookkeeping and something called stenography, which some of you have no idea what that is. It's my secret writing. And she was always telling me, Joanne, you gotta go to college. It would be so good for you. You would love it. And she encouraged me time and again. I didn't believe her for a minute. She didn't even make a dent. I just did not believe that was for me. And I had a girlfriend in high school too. I didn't go to school in Hinckley till I was a freshman. So I went to a little country school for 8 years. I went to Hinckley for 4 years in my high school years. And I had this friend, her name was Jan. And she was like the valedictorian. She's like voted the prettiest girl. We voted on stuff like that back then, But she was, she had the nicest clothes, and she was the smartest and prettiest. She's just a wonderful person. But guess who she put on a pedestal? She put me on that pedestal. She said, Joanne, you could do anything you want. Oh, she's always just giving me these strokes. What a wonderful person I was. I could do this, I could do that. I didn't believe her for a minute. Just didn't believe her. So it was later in my life that I had to be my own Michelangelo and say, oh, I guess I am capable of doing some other things. So how can you begin to be your own Michelangelo? Maybe you can become your own Michelangelo first by being somebody else's. Look at somebody else and say, who can I lift up? Who needs a little boost? Who needs a little encouragement? And then, think about being your own Michelangelo. Lift yourself up. Tell yourself good stuff about you. And then the last point is, it took time for David to be revealed. It took a long time because they were working on it let the thing sit for 25 years. But some of this stuff doesn't happen overnight. In the Michelangelo case, they started commissioning people in 1464, and it was 1504 when he finished David. So 40 years, and we know that at least biblically, there's a symbolic thing for the 40 years. It symbolizes all the time it takes for the spiritual awakening or transformation. All the time you need for something. That's what that 40 years symbolizes. And, we think about Noah. Noah was on that ark supposedly for 40 days. Buddha spent 40 days under the Bodhi tree. Jesus spent 40 days in the wilderness fighting temptation. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness with his tribes before he got to where they were supposed to go. And then, of course, it took Michelangelo 40 years to reveal David. So whenever we're trying to make some changes, we have to give it some time. It's not necessarily going to happen overnight, but whatever period of time it takes you to free yourself is okay. But the idea is, why not start? Why not start today? So let's remember these truths that we've covered today, that glorious you is inside of you, that power that created you is within you. And number two, it's important to surround yourself with people who will uplift you. That Michelangelo or your family or your friends, whoever will surround yourself with like-minded, loving people. And the third thing is, maybe it takes some time, but the idea is to begin today. Let's begin today. And I might give you a little homework. I'm going to give this as homework on Tuesday night. Leif, you can make a note of this and be ready. This is your homework too. We go around and we usually give them a thought and they ask them to respond. We like to hear their voices. We like to get them talking. And I'm going to ask them for the week, I'm going to ask them, what can you reflect on this week that will really reflect the authentic you? And for an example, I'm going to give them this week, I'm going to put on my get-to-do list that I get to read some poetry. I can spend some time with my poetry books. And I love that, but how often do I do it? How often do I make time for it? So I'm going to be true to my authentic self. So I would invite you now to just take a deep breath, and I would lead you in a spiritual mind treatment, which is an affirmative prayer, just kind of around the words that I've just spoken. I know there is but one power in the universe, and that power is all good. It's love and peace and joy and balance and order. That is the power that has the perfect solution to any perceived dilemma in life. That power is within me. I am one with it. We are united. It experiences life in, through, and as its creation. And so I speak these words now with authority and power because that very creative power is within me. And even though I might have listened to teachers or ministers or parents who were maybe leading me astray, like that little girl being told that she wasn't making the flowers the right way, she wasn't doing it the right way, and that her version wasn't good. Maybe I've lost sight of my own uniqueness in my life at some time, in some areas. And even though that might be the case, I now set an intention. I set an intention to remember that there is that David within me, that higher power which experiences life in, through, and as me. It is within me. I remember that. And I remember that it takes a Michelangelo to recognize that beauty. Could be somebody else recognizes it in us, or it could be me that recognizes that. Begin to value who I am. And I remember that it often takes time for me to come to that point, to feel the freedom that is really mine, to reveal the uniqueness that I am. And I'm grateful that this is how it works. My word spoken into law, and it is done unto me as I believe. And I'm grateful for that. Grateful for the law and how it works. And I release these words now to that powerful universe, powerful creative source that does the work, and so it is.
child of this universe. The ocean dances at my feet. The wind plays a melody through my hair. I am loved at every turn. I am kissed by Mother Earth. I am a child of this universe. The sun warms me in its embrace. The stars have aligned for me in the sky. I am honored by all life. I am held by Father Time. Every blade of grass, every shaking leaf on a tree, every mountain top sings of the glory of God moving through me. I am a child of this universe. Through my breath, all of life can breathe. I plant the seeds with my every dream. I can love at every turn. Give a kiss to Mother Earth. I am a child of this universe. I greet the God in each face. I am a channel for peace to flow. Oh, I honor all of life. Yes, I'm one with Father Time. To every blade of grass, every shaking leaf on a tree, to every mountain top, I sing of the glory of God moving through all, moving through me.
Thank you, Reverend Joanne, for those words, and thank you, Victoria and Scott. Now it's time for our conscious giving. You look for an envelope, or if you don't have an envelope, there's some on the back table. Just kind of hold your hands on your heart with your donation, with your gift. If you give online, we know that happens. Just hold your hands over your heart and know that your gifts that you're sharing with us are going to a great cause to further this ministry, this philosophy. And so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
We bless the gifts and we bless the givers. Thank you. Now we have a gift for you guys. We have the gift of prayer. We have a wonderful staff of practitioners We have today Leif, and we have Dee Dee Erickson, we have myself, and we have Reverend Joanne and Dee Ray. We are here to provide prayer for you, if you so choose. If you are a little shy about it, you don't have to be, but we do have paper up here that you can write your prayer on, put it in the box, and then we practitioners, those of us that are here and that are not here, will pray for you throughout the week. So take advantage of that. It's really a great service. So, announcements. We have Karen. Would you like to come up and tell us what's on your mind?
Hi, I have a cousin who lives in New York, and she's married to a man who is an actor and a producer. And I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, quite a while ago, he started a program at Sing Sing Prison where he was working with the inmates to produce a show, to produce a play. And this movie is now coming out. It's called Sing Sing. And it so fits in with what you were talking about today, because my husband and I go to the prisons. I know other people here do too. And this movie just points out the humanity in these men. And it is so touching because we see the humanity in men who've murdered. And they've, our society has just closed the door on them. And I think this movie, to me, it's so amazing because some of the men who are acting in it were in the prison, and so they're ex-prisoners who worked with Brent. And in the movie, they still call Brent Brent. So if you see the movie, Brent is my cousin's husband, but he's not acting himself. But I think that this movie is absolutely so incredibly important because as a society, we need to treat these people as human beings.
Where can we see it?
A24 is the group that's advertising it. Now, there was just a New York Times review of it. So I don't even know where it is yet, but I know it is supposed to be in the theaters in Minneapolis. I think it might be in August. But watch for it. It's called Sing Sing. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Any other announcements? All right, just want to remind you that if you're new to us today, we have a welcome packet back there for you. There are free Science of Mind magazines for anyone, if you'd like to take one. I receive it at my house and gets me through the month. It's awesome. So, if there's nothing else, I'd like to invite Reverend Joanne up to bless us out, and then we will go have coffee and cookies.
Right. Now I'll give you a short spiritual mind treatment before you go as well, knowing that there is just that one power in the universe, and that power is within each person, each thing, everything. It's all God. I know that that power of good embraces, enfolds, uplifts, comforts each and every creature in this world. And in spite of the fact that sometimes when we turn on the radio, read the newspaper, it doesn't look that way, we can be comforted knowing that everything is indeed in divine order. It is all good. Like those 40 years, sometimes it takes time. And I'm grateful that this is the way the law works, that we can trust our Creator. And I release these words and say, and so it is. And I will leave you with this blessing. May you be at peace. May you know the beauty of your own true nature. May your heart be open. May you be healed. May you be blessed. Namaste.
All right, you guys, you can all stand up, or if you want to sit, you can sit. Here's a little singing in my soul. I'm so glad somehow I've got salvation now, and it keeps the spirit moving in my soul. Every day I find it's peace and joy in mine, and it keeps me singing in my soul. Yes, I'm singing. Yes, I'm singing in my soul. Where the troubles roll, I sing from morn to night, and it makes my burdens light. I'm singing, yeah, I'm singing, singing in my soul. Scott, everybody. Every now and then, there's something speaks within, and it often tells me what I'm doing wrong. Just kneel and bow my head and pray, and my heart rings out when I'm singing a song. Yes, I'm singing. Yes, I'm singing in my soul. Where the troubles roll, and I sing from morn to night, and it makes my burdens bright. Oh, it keeps on singing, singing in my soul. Oh, I'm singing. Yes, I'm singing in my soul. When the troubles roll, I sing from morn to night, and it makes my burdens light. And I keep on now, keep on singing in my soul. Keep on singing, singing in my soul.